What up, 9to5ers? This is Bami Tsunami here. Once again, I apologize for my lack of content. I've been in and out of the hospital, been busy with my last semester in grad school. But anyway, moving on. I have a couple things I want to discuss with you guys, or just to lay out there really quick. Two major points. First off, hey, they just announced the latest cast members, or in fact the full cast for Star Wars Episode 7. I have never been more hyped than I have been at this very moment in time. I mean, look, we're looking at John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, just to name a few. Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill returning. Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca, of course, and Kenny Baker. They're all coming back. I mean, this is exciting. The only thing that really kind of saddens me is that Billy D. Williams' name was not on the list. And as a huge fan of Lando Calrissian, I can tell you that it kind of bums me out. And I mean, I had posted about it online, and someone said maybe he might show up for Episode 8. You never know. So I'm not going to count him out just yet. I just know that maybe there might be some development down the road. We might see him. We may not see him. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I love Billy D. and I love Lando, so I definitely like to see him make a return. But this is great. A big cast reveal. A lot of these actors and actresses I'm not exactly familiar with. I know John Boyega from Attack the Block and Andy Serkis. But some of the other people, there's going to be a link below this. Some of the other people that are on the list as newer cast members, I'm not entirely familiar with. So that's a different thing altogether. Another thing I'd like to discuss, which is kind of saddening, which is also deals with Star Wars, is that LucasArts or Lucasfilm recently announced that anything outside the first 6 films and the Clone Wars TV show is no longer canon. Yikes. As a kid that grew up primarily on Star Wars video games and the films and the novels, this really, really bums me out. I mean, I grew up reading Courtship of Princess Leia, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, Heir of the Empire, that whole setup. And to learn that these characters and foes and allies will no longer count, it kind of hurts. It really does. I mean, I don't know if the people listening or some of you guys are how far into the Star Wars lore or universe that you are, but there's a huge, sometimes some people like to call it like a bloated backstory. I mean, Han and Leia have kids, Luke gets married to somebody and has his own kid, Chewbacca died at one point. It's pretty crazy what happened in the Star Wars universe, and that's almost like 2-3 decades of canon now pretty much wiped off the face of the planet. I mean, it's not like Disney's going out to burn the books. They've now been cornered into something called the Legacy series. I mean, whatever that could mean. I don't know. But either way, it's kind of saddening because that means a lot of the games I played growing up, like Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, Shadows of the Empire, and a couple others like Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast, basically don't count. Like, their stories don't count. The characters that came out of those stories don't count. That means no Kyle Katarn, no Dash Rendar, no Mara Jade. It's pretty disheartening to some extent. But at the same time, I'm not letting that change my thoughts on Abrams and Episode 7. Because the guy brought back Star Trek. And Star Trek was, like, nowhere to be seen for almost half a decade or so. Like, I believe in Abrams. It's just that, I guess, to give Star Wars the proper chance it needs to have, I guess you kind of have to cut some strings. And I guess the canon is one of those things you just have to cut out. A lot of people aren't too happy about that. I saw a few forum posts and discussions based around how could they do this, how could they just take out everything, and now they're just going to make it like brainless and whatnot. And like, on one end of the argument, I can understand where that person or persons are coming from. There's a lot of history that's being taken out. But at the same time, besides the die-hard Star Wars fans, not too many people are going to know what the Yuzon Vong are or who Admiral Thrawn was. So I guess it's for the best as to avoid clutter. I mean, I like what JJ did with the reboot for Star Trek. I mean, if they had gone on with what had happened in the last Star Trek film or the last series, they'd lose their audience before they even had the chance to get the movie out into theaters. So I see what Abrams and Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to do, and I respect it. It just kind of bums me out. But hey, that's the two major things I wanted to talk about, and hopefully I'll be catching up with some more gaming related things later on this week. A lot of big gaming developments have hit the fan. Destiny had a small little featurette of featuring gameplay. That's another thing I'd like to discuss later on this week. And right now there's the Golden Week sale for Sony for Japanese games. Select Japanese games are on sale at a discounted price. That's also very exciting, and several other developments. So anyway, so keep tuned. Check out my Twitter, 9to5Gamer. All the links to all my little networks are down below. So click on either one that suits your feelings. You know it to be true, whatever, the generic Star Wars quote, and just check it out. Once again, this is Bombadilio Ojo from 9to5Gamer, and keep in touch.